Hi everyone, Rebecca here with Priority One Financial Coaching, and this is my husband Alan. And today we are going to be talking about our why story in terms of our financial journey and also the things that you need to look out for in your own personal finances that might suggest that you need a little bit of help getting things on track.
That it's going to be based off, maybe you'll hear some of our story and then realize, oh, that's me, because I think as we are going through this journey together, not only with each other as a couple, but as you know, some of the people that I work with as a law enforcement officer, I'm hearing like, yeah, that's me. I'm saying the same thing. We're all going through the same thing, and this is a chance for us to kind of change things for the better, not only for ourselves but for our family.
Yes, absolutely. Our two little girls are the big reason why we decided to do this.
Yeah, that was reason. What one of the biggest reasons why? I mean, I guess if we start from where we decided enough was enough for us. I got into a position where I had a lot of opportunity for overtime, and so I started just doing overtime like crazy. And then from there, of course, the money was great. We're just going out and going to eat dinners, living the life, buying things. I was buying a lot of the things. Because you get into that mode, and I know for a lot of people who are in first responders, where you're like, you get to the mode of, okay, if I'm going to work this many hours, let me get on to online shopping and buy this. This will make me feel good about working this extra hours.
And work hard and play harder.
Exactly. And it got to a point where I was wondering why we were still at the same, we're paying all our bills. We're not really collecting more debt. We're paying all our bills on time and all that stuff, but why at the end of my 2-week pay period, like the day before I got paid, are we still at the same number that I was when I was just doing base pay? That doesn't make any sense. I'm making so much more, but I'm still the same number. And then you got into breaking down the numbers, and it was like, oh, that's
a lot. It was me too.
Yeah,
me too. It was both of us.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is I was always doing budgets before, but I was only budgeting what our responsibilities were, and then whatever was left over, I was like, cool, this is our fun money for the month. But we never really had a plan for that money. It was just kind of like a free for all, and there was never really that conversation between the two of us where it was like, okay, babe, we have this much money for the month that we can do whatever we want with, and so what are we gonna do? We never had that conversation. It was just kind of like, okay, well, I want to do this, he wants to do this, and we just kind of did our own things, and then we would do our things together, and then all of a sudden the money just kept leaving our bank account.
I think, yeah, and I think, now if we're gonna put it all out there and be real, I feel that you felt some sort of, I don't want to say sympathy, but maybe a sense of appreciation for the extra hours I work. So when I wanted those impulse buys, which I had a lot, you were like, well, poor guy's working on these hours.
Yeah, I have a hard time telling him no when he wants something because he does work so hard. And I'm just like, I just don't feel right to deny him the finer things in life when he's busting his butt every day for his family. So
and so it got down to, I think pretty much March to about end of July, or no, excuse me, it's the end of June of 2021, where I think we had that moment. And what it came down to was the soccer tickets. I got season tickets to the Major League Soccer team here in San Jose, and they are fantastic seats. And I'm sure we're looking at the seats right now, but they're very expensive. And I was able to justify it by saying, well, I know I can make it fine with my overtime. And we can't, as first responders, cannot live off of that overtime as part of your monthly budget, because it may be always there, but you may not be always there for it, whether you get hurt, which I've been, a lot of people I work with, they get into situations where they're hurt and they can only do obviously the base, or maybe childcare changes and where they have to be there. So it's easy to think, yes, it will overtime be there. I always will believe that it'll always be there, but will you be there? That's the whole different thing. And maybe you don't want to be there because you want to have time with the family and want to have time with the kids. And that's one of the things that I really wanted. But I wanted those tickets. I got the tickets. We were fine until I realized how much we were paying payments on this. and then realized what that could have went towards, like paying off my car, paying off your car, paying off things. And I came to you and I said, we need to change. And it was my choice that got us to that tipping point. But you embraced it, and we thought, okay, we're going to do this together. And it was so motivated. But then we had to face reality. We had to look at the numbers, and that's when things got.
We did that on vacation too.
Yes, your birthday vacation.
My birthday vacation. We were at the beach, and we sat around and crunched numbers for the first probably 2 to 3 days of our vacation. And so that's not something typical that most people would do on a time you're supposed to be relaxing, especially considering that you were working so much overtime prior to that we hardly got to see each other. So we really had to face reality and started looking at our numbers. And once we saw that debt number, I think it was game on from there, because we were like, we cannot live like this. We cannot continue down the same path and be successful for our family. You know, I definitely didn't want our girls to grow up in a household where money was always a struggle. And especially when we make good money.
Right.
There's no excuse as to why we couldn't.
And I don't think we were. I definitely don't feel like we were struggling. It was just more. It was just for those, because it was, being first responder. It can be a good job if especially if you handle your finances right. But we weren't handling our finances correctly. We were just going out to eat and buy stuff on the shop. No plan. But the hard part was, and then I think as a first responder and reaching out to those who are watching this, is that it's going to be difficult to have to look in the mirror and realize, oh, I do need help. Oh, this is me. Because you want to deflect, as I did, that I didn't want to be, well, come on, I work hard, or come on, I deserve this. This makes me happy. And it does. It makes you happy for the minute, but then you just want a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's what was hard. And then, so when we sat down and did the numbers and realized where we were going wrong, some of the key facts were, at least for you, what were some of the things that surprised you or embarrassed you? I guess you could say, at least for my part, I was embarrassed.
For me, it was the eating out and the coffee that the Starbucks runs. And I mean, I was, especially the first trimester of my pregnancy, I was going to Starbucks every day because the only thing that I could stomach was a bacon grease sandwich. And so I literally had Starbucks every single day of my first trimester. And I mean, you can do the math on what that would add up to, because that was a lot of money. And that was just like, it made me sick to my stomach. So it's like, that's money that could be in our savings. That's money that we could use to pay off debt. That's money that we could save for our girls' future. There's a lot you could do with that money.
A person says, oh, it's only $4 here, $5 here, and $4 here. I mean, I did the energy drinks. And going out for lunch, just to get away from like my situation where, just because I had so much work, whatever it might be. So those are the things. So when you get into the situation, at least on my side, is someone who is married to someone who is in financial coaching, is that she's coaching me, and that's really what it is. I'm learning from her, and I'm trusting her with the numbers, and I've trusted her since, obviously that's the reason why I married her. But another thing is, it's working, and and it's hard because you think of it like fitness coach, or a personal trainer when you're trying to lose weight, or you're like, well, I can just do this on my own, and it's hard to do it on your own. And I know I couldn't go through this journey without you doing this with me. And being so enthusiastic about understanding, not only me as your husband, but as us as a business, as a household. So that's one thing that reason why I wanted to join you in this was and get this out to other first responders, is that it is hard to look at yourself when you do so much for the community. You feel the sense of, well, what about me? What about me? Well,
it's hard to ask for help.
And that's the other thing.
Because you're so used to helping everybody else.
Right. And so, and it comes down to is that there are people who want to help you. So don't think of it as something like asking for help, but it's like you deserve to have a future for yourself and your family that is going to be, it's going to be stronger. And if something happens, which that's what we've been working on, if something happens to me or if something happens to you where we're only down to one income or maybe even no income, is that we have some kind of security that if that did happen, that we could fall back on. At the same time, it's also kind of nice now that I work, these still long overtime hours, that it's not a necessity anymore.
Right.
And that is the biggest thing, as I tell everybody.
We
it's
know
not-
that we can fall back on the structure that we've put in place for ourselves. And we even had to cut back because of my maternity leave. I lost a month and a half of income and we had to cut back pretty hard. And it actually really showed us where we could further pull our budget back and save more money or put more money towards debt. So that it was actually a blessing in disguise.
It was, I guess you could say it was cool that we could afford to have a month without your paycheck and not have to be like, oh no, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna pull out credit cards? We didn't go into debt. We didn't, pull out any credit cards or anything like that. So I think that when you're looking into when you finally get your head up and after all the hours you're working and things like that, and you're like, why am I still here? Why am I accumulating debt? Or how am I going to pay for certain things without pulling out my credit card? I was the same way this time last year. I thought the same thing.
The same way.
And now we're in a situation where we don't have to do that if we don't want to. But it took a lot of lessons and learning and strategies. And that's why I think this is going to be helpful, because now you've built a program that allows us and people who you work with to be like, oh, okay, now just like a fitness trainer, it's like, oh, you just do this? Okay, this makes more sense to me. And I think the best part, and it's what's hard, is that is having to be vulnerable to someone, and we had to be vulnerable to each other about our finances, and it's just like you're confiding in someone that luckily obviously I know you, but someone, if they don't know you, like, how am I going to do this? You keep it confidential, which I love. We don't talk about it at all.
No, I don't
so
talk
if
to
it's
them
someone
about
that,
my clients.
you don't tell me, you say I got a client meeting, and you don't tell me any of their numbers or anything like that, because the confidential promise means a lot to you, and it means a lot to me, because if you happen to work with somebody that I may know, I don't want them to feel embarrassed or vulnerable.
Right.
So you don't even tell me names, nothing, and I think that's the biggest thing. So I know coming up in the next video, we're going to be talking about I think we're going to get to detail some of the things that we got into that kind of took us down, and some of the things that surprised us that worked. And I don't know if you had any other points that you want to bring up in the next videos.
Oh gosh, there's definitely, we got to be talking about the debt, because that's the biggest hill. That's the biggest hill to climb. And in all honesty, once you get a plan in place, it's actually kind of fun.
It is. We'll talk about that.
Yourself.
We'll talk about that.
If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram at Priority1FC, and then check out my website, PriorityOneFC.com. If you'd like to schedule a financial coaching session, all the links are on my website, and you can access it through Instagram as well. So thanks for coming by.